everybody. Week number 2 of It's Good to Have Goals. I'm Bob.
This is Ryan.
Ryan, tell us a little bit about our show.
Our concept is really rather simple. We're going to go through about 3 to 5 games, and we're going to give our individual opinions on each of those games. Mostly my opinion. You're kind of there for the comedic effect, so to speak. And this week we have 4 games. Some weeks it'll be 3. Some weeks it'll be 5. We're also going to talk about any noteworthy news, and also our previews for next week. But my favorite segment particularly is called the 5th game, where we take individual pieces of other games from throughout the week that we didn't expect or anticipate to talk about, and then we still talk about those individual moments. So that's my favorite topic.
And then we'll preview next week's games.
How'd
you do last week?
Not sure yet. We'll get to that.
Oh, okay.
But for now, there's 2 of us. We could expand later. We got a few more people waiting in the wings potentially. But as we said, I'm Ryan. That's Bob or Dad, whatever you want to call him. He's the Fairweather fan. He supports Atletico Madrid, Leeds United.
Is that this uniform right here?
It's Atletico Madrid right there.
Fantastic.
Yes. Leeds United and the Phoenix Rising, our local team. All of them pretty loosely. I'm more of the real fan here. I support Sheffield United, Athletic Bilbao, and Atlanta United, which is my favorite MLS team.
Any of those teams playing currently under the coronavirus?
None of those teams, no, but they're about to.
All right. Our show is sponsored by Gigi's Bread Company. Remember, there are monthly subscriptions available, and this month, our artisan special bread of the month is a jalapeno cheddar, and it is fantastic.
Okay, and this week we will be reviewing the previous weekend of German football for the 2nd straight week.
Bundesliga.
And for the last week, where it will be solely German soccer, We're going to get into La Liga and England and Italy.
That's right, they're coming the middle of June. It's coming up quickly.
Next week.
Next week.
So those games, our 4 games for this week, are RB Leipzig and Paderborn, Augsburg versus Koln, Borussia Dortmund and Hertha Berlin, and Bayern Leverkusen and Bayern Munich. That was our game of the week.
Bunch of.
And first up, we have Leipzig and Paderborn.
So last week's predictions, you took Leipzig 3-0, and I took Leipzig 4-0, and the score was actually 1-1. So we were expecting a more offensive game, and was it just a lackluster offensive push, or was it a big defensive struggle?
We were expecting more offensive game, but at the same time, also we were expecting a dominant game from.
So Paderborn must have shown up if they're 18th on the table.
Shown up, yes and no. The first 25 minutes of the game, Leipzig tore through them. They probably should have had 2 goals, but 42nd minute, Deo Upamecano, a French young center back linked with Manchester United.
What'd you say? 47th minute?
42nd.
Oh, 42nd.
So tail end of this first half. He picks up a 2nd yellow card for dissent. He was frustrated with a foul call, kicked the ball out, took his 2nd yellow card, and was sent off when Leipzig were already up 1-0. That kind of gave Paderborn an opportunity to grow back into the game, and they took that chance. They were the dominant. They were the aggressors.
So they played. Leipzig played a man down in the second half.
Correct. They played with 10 men, but again, dominant first half from Leipzig. Paderborn did do better in the first half than a normal fan or someone would have expected. But the second half, with the man advantage, they really took advantage. They were the aggressor. They actually led the game in possession and and shots.
I forget, was it 0-0 in the first half, or were both
1-0 at the time of the red card?
Okay.
And then 90+2 minutes. So Leipzig did very well. You got to give credit to my man of the match, Peter Gulashi, the Hungarian goalkeeper for Leipzig, who kept Paderborn out of the net. 90+2 minute. There's a corner kick or free kick, an attacking set piece for Paderborn. They put a ball in. It's headed away by Leipzig. There's a volley back in the box from Paderborn.
Oh, those are always exciting.
Gulashi parries it away, but it falls right to.
I hate it when they just kick it and the goalie catches it. That's
but the goalie pats the ball away, falls right to Paderborn defender Christoph Stodiek, who taps it home to make it 1-1 in the 90+2.
Anything else exciting about this game?
Not really. I mean, Leipzig, again, for them, too many draws this year. They actually have the least amount of losses.
Did they play all of their best players?
Yes. They actually have the least amount of losses of any team in Germany this year, but 10-11 draws, 10-11 ties has really hurt them, and that's why you see them sitting in 3rd.
And so Paderborn is on their way out. They're in for relegation.
They will, even with this result, they're looking genuinely like the team that's going to finish dead last and go down.
All right, next game. So, last week's predictions, you took Cologne 2-1. I took Cologne 2-0. I basically took Cologne because of the logo. I'm not quite sure why I like that logo, but I do. Must have been a tight match. They're 12 and 13 on the table, and they end up with a 1-1. What do you call it? A push? A draw?
Draw. Push is kind of loosely used, but not really.
All right.
You took Cologne for the logo. I took them for their consistency, and instead of Augsburg, who have been a team, again, like we talked about last week, up and down, a yo-yo team, so to speak. A team that can play really, really well one week and really, really poorly the next. And this was an Augsburg performance that was outstanding, probably one of their best of the year.
Ooh.
Should have had 2 to 3 goals, probably at halftime. They had a penalty that they could not take advantage of from the spot. Timo Horn, another goalie, was my man of the match. Horn, a German international.
Fantastic.
One of the 3-4 best German goalies in the world. Saved the penalty from Florian Niederlechner in the 27th.
How do you say that?
Niederlechner? Niederlechner. Something around that. But
Spelling bee word.
Spelling bee, correct. Bundesliga has lots of good spelling.
So, who was your man of the match again?
Timo Horn, the goalie, the German international. Saved the penalty in the first half to keep it 0-0. Really got dominated, Koln did. They were on the back foot the entire first half. I think Augsburg had around 15 shots.
On the back foot, is that kind of like on their heels?
Yeah. Had about 15 shots at halftime, which is normally what they average per game. So to have a really dominant first half, but they didn't come away with a goal. And there was almost no action in the second half. It was a really boring second half.
So what are these teams that are in the middle of the table that aren't going to get relegated and aren't going to move up? What are they playing for? They're playing for money?
Pride. You get certain amounts of money where you finish. You get a little bit more money, but the money from really 7 through 13, 14 is all about the same.
Okay.
So there's no real difference there. But it's more of a pride thing. Koln, again, no real action. 88th minute, Anthony Modesta, a sub. Another Frenchman. A lot of Frenchmen flying their trade in Germany. Hits a really, really nice volley. Probably would have been the goal of the week if it weren't for another goal, another historic goal that we're going to get onto later. It was a really nice hit. Augsburg immediately responded down the other way in the 89th minute or so with a goal from Philip Max, the left back, getting forward and having a tap in at the back post. Other than that, those 1-1 goals, nothing really exciting in this game. You could look at Koln as a team that was dead last at the winter break and have found a new coach and really surged forward into the 12th range. They're a young team, an exciting team.
Oh, fantastic.
One of the more historic clubs in Germany. Look at them as a team that really could shock a few next year and finish in that 6, 7, 8 range, in my opinion.
I might have to get a jersey from them. Anything else about this game we need to talk about?
I don't think so. Again, Timo Horn was fantastic. Really shows why he's
Next.
deserving of a German international spot.
I love the Dortmund logo.
Logo? Oh yeah, I forgot to do that. We didn't figure out what BVB means. We'll get to that next week.
All right. So last week I had Dortmund 2-1, and you had them in a draw. So let's see. So you were obviously thinking that Hertha was going to play above their weight and give Dortmund a game.
And for obvious reasons. And really, to be honest, they did give them a game. It was a very evenly contested game. You have to look at Hertha, a team, since we talked about Bruno Labbadia last week, a coach who's come in. This was his first loss in his 5 games as head coach of Hertha. He's been very good. He's turned them into a really, really exciting, tough team to play against. And they really did not have a bad game. Diedrich Boyata, a Belgian center back for Hertha, was arguably the best player on the field if it weren't for Emre Can, who's my man of the match for Dortmund. But Hertha really kept them at bay. It was really a game. Dortmund, a team that likes to attack, were really kept at bay. 1 goal is not a lot for them at all.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to give credit to Hertha in their effort in this game. They had chances, in essence, to tie it. They didn't get it in the end. But Dortmund, for me, deserved winner in the day. Emre Can, a center mid who played center back today, was very composed in the central defensive position, a different position for him. So you have to give credit to him there to be playing out of position 1. And he still grabs the winner at the same time. So he's my man of the match for that reason.
And what minute was the goal scored in?
He scored early second half, maybe first 15 minutes of second half. I think 56, 57.
Did they change their format or the rotation?
No, they always keep this. That's the thing with Dortmund. That's kind of a complaint, and at the same time a fascinating thing about them, that their coach Lucien Favre Kind of it's spelled Brett. It's like Brett Favre,
Fred Favre.
but actually pronounced how it looks. He's kind of criticized often for playing one way, but he's often at the same time applauded for that.
So Dortmund's in second place on the table. They're probably going to lock that up. Then when do they start do they go into what, the Champions League?
The Champions League is a next year thing.
What's
so
next year?
So the Champions League runs the same time. So you play in European competition on Tuesday, Wednesday, and then on the weekends you'll play your league. So next year, Dortmund is second for next year's Champions League.
All right.
So that's
how many more games do they have this season?
5 games, and
then when that's over, what do they do?
They take their summer break, and then they jump into next season. They might not take the summer break this year, obviously, because of how late things are going to go. And for me, Dortmund, the best thing about Dortmund, from an American perspective, is Gio Reyna.
Gio.
Your boy, my
Yep.
boy, mostly my boy.
Yep.
But he didn't particularly do anything this game. He got in about 25 minutes to go. Couldn't really get on the ball.
He didn't even play last game, did he?
He did play, but not much.
Not much.
He didn't do much, but again, you still have to look at him as a guy for the future for the United States and for Dortmund, in essence. He's a guy who can really change and attack. Lucien Favre really likes to play him, even though he's got a lot of really good players in his position. There's something about Gio's game that Favre really likes, and he's getting a lot of minutes, which is very good for him.
Anything else about this game we need to bring up?
No, I think Dortmund in second place, kind of solidly in second place with Leipzig's draw, Borussia Mönchengladbach's loss, Bayer Leverkusen's loss. So Dortmund have really locked up second now. They're still 7 points off Bayern at first place, so it doesn't look likely there.
Nope.
So they can start to kind of experiment, which means those last 5 games, you're probably going to get Gio Reyna to see a start, maybe a lot more minutes, I would hope.
Fantastic. Can't wait to watch the young boy. All right. So, last week's prediction, looks like you took Bayern?
Bayern.
I call them München. You took Bayern 3-1. I took München 2-0. We both had them, but you certainly had the multiple goals lined up. I figured it would be a tighter match with Leverkusen being 5th on the table, but maybe I was giving them too much credit for what München really brings to the field every week.
I can agree with that, but I don't think you're giving Bayer Leverkusen enough credit there at the same time. A team that I said 3-1.
I did give them credit because I said it was going to be 2-0. You said that they were going to get smoked.
We had the same margin of difference there. I mean, and in the end, it was 2 goals. We were both kind of technically right there. But you have to look at how they play. Leverkusen, a team that always want to attack. They always want to put pressure on you, no matter who you are. Bayern, a team that always want to attack. So you have
what was that team last week that plays offense by playing defense by
Freiburg? They picked up a win this week.
They got to stop that.
They picked up a win.
Oh, well,
so you got to give them credit.
Good for them.
But again, you have to talk about 2 teams that love to attack no matter what. They're always going to go at you. That's why I said 3-1. I wanted to see goals, and you got goals. You got a 4-2 game. Leverkusen grabbed a goal early, 9 minutes in, from Lucas Alario, who's normally not a starter. He's replacing Kai Havertz, who was out with a muscle injury, and he picked up against Freiburg. If Havertz plays this game, I think you see a much different game.
Oh, wow.
Havertz is terrific. Linked to Bayern, linked to Real Madrid, linked to Manchester United, linked to Chelsea. All the big clubs want him. I think, in my opinion, he's the next great German kind of front man. 2021. Wow. Terrific young player.
Fantastic.
If he plays, it's a completely different game here, in my opinion. But Leverkusen started well, and it took Bayern about 20-25 minutes to really get their first opportunity. But once Bayern got that first opportunity, it was 1 goal, and it was 2 goals, and it was 3 goals. All at the halftime. It was 3-1 at halftime. Then you've got Munich, who grabbed a 4th late. For me, the man of the match was Thomas Muller, who grabbed 3 assists for Bayern.
What position is he?
He's a number 10, but he's the last true
I've never heard of
number 10 attacking midfielder.
Attacking midfielder.
He's most number 10s now are really hard-working pressers, droppers, defenders. He's the real last kind of space. He's called a space interpreter. He picks up the ball in nice spaces. That's what they call him.
Okay.
That's what they call him.
All right.
But so he kind of space interpreter. So he picks up the balls in spaces. He gets a lot of assists. He broke the Bundesliga.
So when I go to the Sunday pickup game, they're going to go, what
You're
position
not a
do you play?
space interpreter.
I'm going to go, I'm a 10 man, I'm a space interpreter.
Mm-hmm, yeah. But so, again, you've got him. He picks up 3 assists, breaks the Bundesliga.
Must have been a very fast 90 minutes. This must have been a game at the end where you wish you could have seen more.
At times. It was fast in parts, slow in others. And at the very end, it's 4-1. Bayern have won it all, done and dusted, probably picked up the league trophy with this win right here. Flo Wirtz, a 17-year-old, comes on. We saw him last week. He was my man of the match last week in the Bayern Leverkusen-Freiburg game. He comes on, has a chance to become the youngest Bundesliga goal scorer, having started the last 3 games. He's been on fire in terms of ability and play style since they've returned. He has an opportunity to get the first goal or the youngest goal in Bundesliga history.
Is this it right here?
And he does it right here if it shows us the video. And it does right here. You can see he picks the ball up, does a nice little cut, finds the back corner. Here it is again. Nice little cut. Left-footed, off the cut in. Becomes the youngest goal scorer in the history of the German top flight.
Huh.
I think it's 17 years, 34 days? 34 days? Something along those lines. You'll see it here again. I mean, it's terrific composure in front of goal. He's a Koln graduate. He graduated their academy. He was picked up. He signed his professional contract, but then was placed in the under-19s to kind of sit and develop. And Bayer Leverkusen said, no, we'll buy you. Come to us. We'll put you right in the first team. And it's paid off right away. And he's been a real star for them.
Oh, good for him.
Recent weeks.
Fantastic.
He breaks that.
Nice job on the video, by the way.
He breaks that man right there, Nuri Sahin's goal record. Nuri Sahin is one of the best young players probably ever come out of the Bundesliga. He now plays for Werder Bremen.
Well, fantastic. All right, what do we got next?
Next we've got our prediction standings. So you've taken the lead here with with 2 predictions correct. You took Bayern over Leverkusen, which was correct, as did I. So I got a point for that.
Yep.
And you also took Dortmund over Hertha.
You always go for the underdog, though.
I took the draw there. And again, the way we're going to score this for the upcoming weeks is if you get the result right, you're going to get 1 point. And if you get the exact score right, you're going to get 3 points. 3 points. 2 points on top of the 1 point.
Correct.
2 points on top of the 1 point, that means 3. 3. 3 as the end of the year.
Trey.
That's 4. Yeah. Next time.
All right.
So you're winning.
So our predictions for this upcoming week.
No, next we've got our 5th game. We got our predictions live.
What grabbed you from around the other games this week?
Around the games, I think you have to look at all the Bundesliga games. That's really all that's going on. Werder Bremen dominated by Frankfurt at the end there. 17th place Werder Bremen. Eintracht Frankfurt, a team that was sort of in the relegation battle, playing well below their level of what they should be. They surged late, get 2 goals from a substitute, Stefan Ilsanker, a holding midfielder who gets 2 goals, which is rare for him. It was his first Bundesliga goal on his first touch of the game.
Must have made his mom happy.
And then his second touch of the game, he gets his second ever Bundesliga goal.
No way.
And he's like 30 years old. He's been waiting for a long time to get that goal. But they beat Werder Bremen 3-0. They're now likely safe from relegation. We'll get to Werder Bremen a little bit later. Mainz pick up a massive 3 points against Frankfurt to distance himself from that relegation zone. A team that was really
relegation zone again.
17-18.
So, because they're in, so they were at 17. And what they go up to?
They were 15, but they were only a few points ahead of 17.
Okay.
They've now climbed out. They're not necessarily fully safe, but they were a team that was really struggling to get goals and get wins and get points.
All right.
And that win is a big one for them. Hoffenheim and Dusseldorf draw 2-2. Dusseldorf has looked like the worst team in Germany since the break has restarted, other than Mainz. And I actually think they're going to be the team that finishes 17th instead of Werder Bremen. And Freiburg beat Gladbach, your least favorite team. Pick up a fantastic 1-0 win. Gladbach, a team that had a real opportunity to jump into the top 4 of the Champions League places, couldn't do it. They play Bayern next week.
You like their coach?
I do like the way they play. They were a team that was really 6-7.
You're not going to fire that coach?
No, Marco Rosa is a very good coach. Probably my pick, if Lucien Favre leaves Dortmund, he would be my pick over Jesse Marsch, the American.
Well,
I think he's...
Of course.
Although Jesse Marsch is a fantastic coach. But for Gladbach, tough game against Bayern next week. They've really got to get a result in order to keep their Champions League hopes alive.
All right.
And then other than that, we've still got some more games, obviously. Wolfsburg beat Bremen to hold that 6th spot, that Europa League spot. Bremen still sits 17th, 3 points off Dusseldorf.
Anybody like on 9-8-7 that can sneak into that 6th
spot? Only 7, really. Hertha maybe at 9, but that could only because of their form.
Can they get one of those net 6 points or?
No, there's no such thing as a 6-point actual score. It's just a figure of speech essentially.
But if you're playing the team head to head, and
it's
you
a
pick
big
up
big
three.
result. Yes, essentially they could, but
Right.
and then after that, Schalke Union ends 1-1. Schalke now winless in a club record 12 games. They've really struggled the second half of the season.
Is their coach gone?
No, their coach will not be gone. He's got a plan. He's got a plan in place.
Coach will not be gone.
He's got a plan in place. I think they're going to let him build off of that. They had a really good start to the year. There's potential there.
That's good to support him.
And not the first time in the history of the show. We'll look elsewhere. We'll look at Austria. Jesse Marsch, the American, the best American coach that's ever existed.
American coach in Europe.
Wins his first trophy, the Austrian Cup, which is the domestic trophy, not the league, with Red Bull Salzburg, another one of Red Bull's many clubs. He's the first American-born manager to win a top-tier European trophy. And then we'll go to the Americas. Costa Rican 17-year-old Manfred Ugalde, who's been linked with some Dutch clubs, some German clubs. He's an underrated striker, scores his 18th goal of the season for league leader Saprissa in the league. He scored a late equalizer. He's 18 goals for 17-year-old. He's a fantastic tally, no matter what league you're in.
So the Costa Rican, what is that league down there?
I think it's just the Costa Rican Premier League.
And they're playing.
They are playing. No fans, obviously. They're reaching the tail end of their season. And then the Portuguese league returned to action. Not much happening on the field, but a lot happening in but one thing in particular happening in news there, which is hirings, firings, problems, which is what they're going through right now there, with a big issue there in transfers.
All right.
So that's what's going on there. Benfica, the league leaders, had a bus attack where fans who couldn't go in the stadium decided to support their team outside the stadium.
It
wasn't recommended by the Portuguese sport of arbitration, or whatever court of arbitration sport, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
They had 2 players injured by glass shrapnel as bricks were thrown into the building. Richario Zivkovic, I don't know his first name, and Julian Weigl, a German, who's been in a previous bus attack with Dortmund a couple years back. So he's got pretty bad luck, I would say. But they draw 0-0. They had a chance to go ahead of Porto for solo first place. Instead, they stay tied for first place.
All right.
Timo Werner, the Leipzig striker, I think he's a little overrated because people are saying he's worth 70 to 80 million. But the way Red Bull does its business is they put release clauses on all their players, and they're sort of cheap at times, so they can make sure they're selling people. They're selling players in order to keep the money.
Do you think Red Bull's too much into soccer all over the world?
I think Red Bull's too much into a little bit of every sport, except for American football, basketball, but I think it's good to have investment. It's good to really try and progress the game, especially the way they run their business. They run it with the idea of trying to sell people, sell players, move players on, make a profit. It's a good plan. They develop and they move. They develop and they move. I think that's how all soccer teams at that level should be run.
Fair enough.
But Timo Werner likely headed to Stamford Bridge to play for Chelsea, following an agreement to pay a £54 million release clause for him, which is well below his valuation. He's an $80 million player. So
sounds like you need to be his agent.
It's a little bit of hurt for him, but it's not his money. He's not getting $54 million. He's getting whatever the deal is. The club gets $54 million. Elsewhere, Brescia terminate the contract of Mario Balotelli, who's not necessarily the greatest player of all time. He's a very polarizing figure. One of the more
getting that up there.
Not really. He's in his 30s. I would expect you to see him in MLS sometime this season. MLS or China or one of the quote-unquote retirement leagues there. That's what they call them.
All right.
And then lastly, French Court of Arbitration of Sport. That's 2 ofs in one.
The FCAS.
FCAS. That's in English. It probably is something different in French. They suspended relegation. They call it suspended. I don't think you can really suspend relegation.
That's kind of the right thing to do, though.
Kind of, yeah.
They'll just add more teams next year.
So they're proposing 22 teams. So the top 2 teams from Ligue 2, the second division, move up to Ligue 1 for the 2021 season. That's their plan there, and I think that's a good plan. I think that's what, if the Premier League and La Liga and the German League and Italy hadn't decided to restart their season, I think that's the plan they would have gone for. So it makes the most sense financially for each club.
What else we got going on this week?
Now we've got our previews. This is, I think, you're probably your favorite section.
This is.
So we've got Hoffenheim and Leipzig next week. So another RB Leipzig game.
All right.
First game we've covered Hoffenheim here.
Yep.
So 7th place Hoffenheim, a team fighting for that 6th spot. And Leipzig, a team who's in 3rd, trying to hold off 4th and 5th in the Champions League. I've got my prediction here. I'm going 2-1 Leipzig. This could very easily be a draw. Leipzig, a team who like to draw a lot, as we talked about earlier. A team that really haven't been able to win a lot of close games. But I like Leipzig's... I like the total talent Leipzig provides here compared to Hoffenheim. You've gone with a draw, a 0-0 draw.
Ooh, I like that.
There's not that many 0-0 draws in Germany. But again, a draw is probably a good result for the game.
Hoffenheim is going to be fighting big time.
I can certainly get behind that. I think.
And they're at home?
Hoffenheim are at home. So this game you're going to look for really the midfield of Hoffenheim to kind of hopefully control or keep Leipzig at bay. And for Leipzig, you're going to probably be looking at Christopher Nkunku, a young winger / number 10, Danny Olmo, another young winger / number 10, to really kind of control the game, create chances against Hoffenheim.
Hoffenheim is one of the older teams in the league because they're 1899.
Yes, but they've not been in the German Bundesliga for that long, probably since 2005. They've only been in the league for about 15 or so years. But so here you're going to be looking for Leipzig to control the game and break down Hoffenheim, and Hoffenheim to do the exact opposite, to try and break and counter and win. And I think that'll be an intriguing game of clashing styles, clashing efforts. Julian Nagelsmann, Leipzig's head coach, who's 32, 33, and he's already been a Bundesliga coach for 4 or 5 years, since he was 28, returns to Hoffenheim, his former team that he coached.
So exciting. I still think it's going to be a draw, but it might be 1-1.
And next up, we've got our most probably boring game you'll ever watch here. No person in their right mind would subject themselves to watching Granada play Getafe for 90 minutes, and that is exactly why
they're not paid advertisers for our show. If they are, we apologize.
And so that's why, particularly for me, I'm going 1-0 Getafe, a team that's sitting in 4th, Champions League place. They're one of the smallest clubs. I think their budget hovers around 14th and 15th place, so that's where they should be finishing, theoretically. They're all the way up in 4th in a Champions League place. Granada, a team in 9th, fighting for really a safe team. We've both done 1-0 here. Expect a game of two teams that do not want the ball at all. We've talked about it in the past where two teams that want the ball can really decide a game.
Yep.
This game will be decided completely on the defense side of the ball. It could be the first time in the history of soccer you somehow get two teams with 40% possession and 40% possession, and 20% of the possession is just disappeared.
All right. Well, it sounds like a sleeper. Let's move to the next one.
Certainly is a sleeper. You're going to look at a lot of a tactical battle there, really. Again, Getafe should win that tactical battle, so I would give them the 1-0 advantage there. Next up, we've got Munich and Gladbach. München and Borussia Mönchengladbach. Mönchengladbach versus München.
Yeah?
They're completely unreal.
I think you're going Gladbach on this one, aren't you?
I am not.
Oh.
I think Bayern are a machine. 3-0. We saw it last week against Leverkusen. They're going to blitz the rest of this league. Hansi Flick has turned them into a team that scores almost 4 goals.
There's no reason to save your best players either, right? Because they're almost done.
Well, they're actually... Gladbach does have a little bit of hope. Bayern Munich are missing Thomas Muller, who we talked about in the previous game, and Robert Lewandowski. So the leading Bundesliga assister, and leading Bundesliga goal scorer are both out with yellow card accumulation, so they're suspended essentially.
Hotheads, are they?
No, they've only got, all it takes is 5 yellow cards. So 5 yellow cards in 30 games is actually pretty good. But so they'll both miss this game. So Gladbach will have hope in that sense.
Okay.
But the Bayern machine should keep turning, should keep going. I've got them 3-0. I think you're somewhat similar. Yeah, so you're 2-0.
I got Gladbach fighting a little tougher in the
Expect Gladbach to fight pretty tough. But again, Bayern's quality should peel through. Look for the substitutes here. Maybe Joshua Zirkzee, a young 19-year-old for Bayern Munich, to really come off the bench as a substitute striker. He might not start, even though Lewandowski is out. But look for him to come on and provide a physical presence towards the end of the game if Bayern have a 1-2 goal lead to kind of put that third goal in the nail.
Sounds like an exciting game to watch.
This should be our game of the week. And as we go on to that, we go on to another potentially really good game. The Seville Derby, one of the more underrated rivalry games in really Europe. Sevilla, historically the better club. Betis, who have recently gotten a lot better, including last couple years, they've improved.
So if it's Bundesliga and they got Sevilla and Granada, those are
this is La Liga. Granada Getafe was La Liga as well. So next week we're going to be covering something
It's
different.
an educational show for me today.
Yeah.
You're going to have to put Bundesliga
on the
or
top,
La
and then
Liga
we could.
and other stuff.
But so for my prediction, I've got 2-0 Sevilla. They're a much better side. Betis have struggled this year a little bit. You've got 1-0 Sevilla. You clearly seem to lean more towards the close-knit, struggling games.
Your mom and I honeymooned in Sevilla, you know.
Yeah. But Sevilla, for me, too much quality there. Not a lot of quality, but more quality than Real Betis. So two teams that have struggled this year. Sevilla at 7th, 8th position is really low for them. Usually a team that's 4th, 5th. Betis, usually a team that's 9th, 10th, is now in the 14, 15 area. So two teams that have underperformed that are going to try and turn their seasons around as they return for the tail end of the campaign.
Fair enough. Anything else?
I think that's it for the week.
All right. Well, thank you all for watching. We'll do it again next week.
I think that was a long video.